welcome everyone to day 2 of the Bocas Lit Fest. And welcome to this is the third edition of the Bocas Youth Debates presented in collaboration with the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Parliament. Today, two teams of sharp, fearless young debaters will tackle one of the most urgent questions shaping classrooms and creativity across the world: AI. As artificial intelligence becomes more embedded in how we learn, create, and communicate, young people are being challenged to think critically about its impact. Is AI a powerful educational tool that expands opportunity and innovation? Or is it weakening creativity, fairness, and academic integrity? This exciting debate will push our students to examine the future of education, technology, and human expression through bold ideas, strong arguments, and respectful exchange. So I just want to introduce our judges this afternoon. I'll begin with Kevin Swift. He's a digital policy leader with 20 years shaping internet governance in Latin America and the Caribbean. He advises governments, regulators, and organizations on digital inclusion, internet security, and advanced regulatory frameworks. As chair of the Internet Society and Trinidad and Tobago Senior Manager, Regulatory and Government Affairs at Liberty Caribbean, he drives outreach and regulatory strategy among key stakeholders. He holds advanced degrees in diplomacy and internet governance, IT law, and international trade. Gabriel Johnson is an international relations professional specializing in information and communication technology, policy, and digital transformation. She currently serves as External ICT Relations Officer at the Ministry of Public Administration and Artificial Intelligence, where she leverages her expertise to build strategic partnerships and engagements with regional and international stakeholders. With over 8 years of experience in the ICT policy space, Gabrielle has contributed to regional initiatives and dialogues focused on digital development, cybersecurity, and innovation. She's also actively engaged in youth and regional ICT advancement through her role as Vice Chair of the Caribbean ICT Youth Network, where she supports initiatives that empower young people in the digital space. Gerald Matas is an assistant professor in the Department of Bioethics and Health Humanities at the University of Texas Medical Branch. He earned his BA and MA from the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, and his PhD from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. His work explores how stories shape health, ethics, and public trust in medicine. His first academic book is titled Caribbean Futurism and Beyond: Conversations with Writers of Folklore, Fantasy, Science, and Speculative Fiction. Jarrell is also a columnist for the Daily Express in Trinidad and Tobago and the Galveston County Daily News. Mr. Kevin C. Mungle is the head of the English department at El Dorado East Secondary School from 2019 to present. He's a former teacher at Fatima College, and he holds a BA in Linguistics and Language with Education, as well as a Diploma of Education. Our team arguing for, I'd like to introduce them, Ms. Leandra Quintero, Brianna Aswell, and Sheldon Ramdan. And arguing against, we have Mr. Nirad Maharaj, Samisha Maharaj, and Zachariah Goodrich. So we've already determined that we will begin with the affirmative. Good luck.
Good afternoon, honorable judges, members of the opposition, and the audience. Today we stand firmly in the affirmative to support the motion that reliance on artificial intelligence is weakening young people's critical thinking and emotional resilience. But before I get started, allow me to define some terms. Critical thinking is the ability to actively analyze, question, and evaluate information rather than just accepting it. Emotional resilience is the ability to face difficulty, frustration, and uncertainty and continue despite it. Artificial intelligence refers to computer systems designed to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as reasoning, problem solving, and generating responses. Now, this debate is not just about technology. This is about what happens when we replace effort with convenience, thinking with prompting, and when we trade struggle for ease. The opposition will likely stand here and tell you that AI is just a tool, but tools are never neutral. Social media changed attention spans. Smartphones change communication habits. Technology shapes behavior. It influences how people think, respond, and make decisions. And when the easiest option is always instant answers, most young people will choose convenience over discomfort. This is not a moral failure. This is predictable human behavior. So, yes, AI is a tool. But at what point does a tool stop assisting thought and start replacing it? To answer that, we start with cognitive offloading. Offloading is the act of outsourcing mental tasks such as memory, analysis, and problem solving to external tools instead of using our own minds. Now, this isn't new. We've been doing this for years. It could be something as simple as writing down a grocery list so you don't have to remember it. But the scale matters. Because what started as small assistance has now evolved into complete delegation of thinking. And we have evidence of this. In 2011, researchers Betsy Sparrow, Jenny Liu, and Daniel Wagner found that when people know information is easily accessible online, they are less likely to remember it themselves, what is now known as the Google effect. So, in simple terms, when we know information is easily accessible, we stop trying to remember it. So, picture this. Even as far back as 2011, with just Google, access to information reduced our effort to remember it. And here's the thing, Google is just a search engine. It can help you find information, but you still have to read, evaluate, interpret, and verify that information. You were still doing the thinking. But with AI, it does all of that for you. You do not research, you do not analyze, you do not verify. You ask and you receive. So if in 2011, simply knowing information was accessible made us remember less, what do you think happens in 2026 when we are no longer even engaging with the information ourselves? This is no longer partial offloading. This is total cognitive outsourcing. As Nicholas Carr, author of The Shallows, argues based on his extensive research into how digital tools affect the brain, constant reliance on these tools makes us less capable of deeper thinking. But this leads to a deeper question. Why does this matter so much? Well, it matters because critical thinking is not something you were born with. It is something that is built, and it is built through struggle. And this is exactly where AI changes the equation. Because when you are faced with something difficult, something confusing or unfamiliar, your first response is not clarity, it's resistance. And that resistance comes from a part of the brain called the amygdala. It pushes you away from discomfort and towards the part of least effort. But the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and self control, it allows you to override that instinct. And right at that moment, when you push through difficulty instead of avoiding it, is where critical thinking is actually built. So, this is the process that AI disrupts. Instead of forcing you to confront resistance, it removes it, giving you clarity before your brain has done the work to earn it. As neuroscientist Marianne Wolf explains, deep reading and critical thinking require sustained effort and attention. When those are replaced with fast, simplified outputs, the brain adapts by becoming less capable of deep analysis, a habit many young people have already fallen into. Now, don't get me wrong, AI is not entirely bad. After all, it gives us answers that are clear, structured, and complete. However, that's exactly where the danger lies. Because clarity can create confidence, and confidence can create a powerful illusion. Which leads me to my third point, the illusion of understanding. We understand something when we actually don't. When AI gives us answers, we read it, we follow it, and we assume we know it. But when asked to explain it ourselves, we struggle because we were never a part of the thinking process. We only consumed the result. It's like watching someone else work out thinking you would build muscle from it. You do not build strength by observing, you build it by actively engaging, by putting yourself through the process. As Gerd Biester, a world leading philosopher of education, argues, real education is not about receiving answers. It's about thinking through problems and being challenged by uncertainty. AI removes that challenge. And this is where emotional resilience comes in. Because resilience is not built in comfort, it is built in frustration, confusion, and most importantly, perseverance. But if AI removes those experiences, we are weakening how we cope. Students panic when faced with tasks without immediate answers. They struggle with delayed success, rejection, and uncertainty because they are becoming conditioned to instant solutions. But life does not work like a chatbot. Jobs, grief, relationships, failure. None of these things come with instant answers. Resilience is built by learning to sit with discomfort, not escape it. And in conclusion, convenience is coming at the cost of our capability, a trade off we cannot afford to ignore. And this leaves us with one unavoidable outcome for young people: weaker critical thinking and weaker emotional resilience. Because the problem with AI is not that it gives us answers, it is that it removes the need to earn them. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we will welcome the speaker from the opposing team.
Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak today. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nurad Maharaj, and I'm here to tell you that we, the opposition team, are firmly against the motion that this House believes reliance on artificial intelligence tools is weakening young people's critical thinking and emotional resilience. Again, my name is Nurad Maharaj, and I served in the 22nd National Youth Parliament just last year as a member for Superior. That was a great honor to me, and it's a great honor to address all these different secondary schools, the honorable judges, my opponents, my teammates, and of course, our chairwoman. Now, I want to start and say this. The first speaker for the proposition, in defining emotion, and thankfully she did, had no sources to define any of these terminologies in emotion. She spoke as if she had sources, but she quoted none. Did ChatGPT give you? Because I heard no recommendations, no expert opinions on any of these definitions. So allow me to redefine emotion for you all and get this debate on the correct path forward. Artificial intelligence, as defined by none other than NASA, is computer systems that can perform complex tasks normally done by human reasoning, decision making, and creating. So it's based off of human performance. Then, critical thinking, as defined by the University of Edinburgh, it's the art of making clear, reasoned judgments based on interpreting, understanding, applying, and synthesizing evidence gathered from observation, reading, and experimentation. So, in other words, it's a lot of thinking up here and you're consulting with yourself based on it. Then, emotional resilience by the Children's Society of the UK is your ability to respond to stressful or unexpected situations and crises. And I want to say as well, the first speaker on the proposition did not define one, sorry, did not define one very important part of the motion. They did not define young people. Now, I think some of us don't mind this. Perhaps all of us say are young people. I would like that very much. But let me give you an actual definition based on the Trinidad and Tobago National Youth Policy 2020 to 2025. Ages 10 to 35 are categorized as young people in Trinidad and Tobago. So that is who we are talking about in this debate. Finally, we know, which is about 436,000 people, or 40% of our national population. Now, this expired in 2025, but we'll go forward with it moving on. Now, with this, we have to say, as part of her argument, the first speaker talked about the active engagement and that it is not present within AI. But here's what I have to say to that. For active engagement in AI, you are reading something. When you get a source in front of you, any piece of information, do you not think about it? Or do you just write it on a piece of paper and regurgitate it? Now, again, I speculated that with the proposition side already. But let me get into the meat of it. What I'll be talking about with AI today is the evolution, the balance, and the discernment of the usage of AI. And I want to start by saying, in terms of the evolution of AI, let's be very real. Let's be very real here. AI is a rapidly developing technology, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but the entire world. But we've seen this before. We've seen it from automobiles to smartphones to now artificial intelligence. And here's the thing, this was referenced by a source from IBM in a 2024 report. Now, just so you know, IBM is one of the biggest multinational technology companies in the world. And they talked about AI in the next 10 years. The reason that they reference these revolutions is because they all had something in common. When automobiles rose to prominence, when smartphones rose to prominence about 20 years ago, I remember around 20 years ago, not 20, around 15 years ago, because I wasn't born 20 years ago, my mother had a B Mobile around BlackBerry phone. It wasn't a smartphone. We didn't know that we would have smartphones. Everybody would have smartphones all at this point. But we still relied on them for communication, which is something that I need to give you an example. Let's say that I wanted to communicate with my teammate over here. Now, I won't actually because that's against the debate guidelines. But let's say I wanted to. In this setting that we are here right now, I am in front of a microphone. We are also right next to each other in person. So if I wanted to communicate with them, I could simply talk to them and speak to them right now. He's side-eyeing me because he doesn't want to communicate with me because we want to win this debate. But let's say I want to speak to my teammate a few days ago in preparation for this debate. I'm not right next to him. He's not right next to me. So what we have to do is we have to use something called our smartphone. We have to rely on our smartphone. And is that a net positive? Is that a net negative? Is it that we aren't thinking when we rely on a piece of technology, such as our smartphones? Because if I was to call him right now, would it make any sense? No, it wouldn't. I relied on my smartphone, but I did more than just that. I over relied on it. And I need to emphasize on that. Because the debate motion specifically talks about our reliance on artificial intelligence. But here's the thing, it's only a negative when you over rely on it, which is where I go to my next point. This is from Health and Life Recovery, which is based in San Diego, and it's a large organization based on mental health research. And it talks about technology reliance versus addiction, because we need to make that clear. Because what the proposition will have you thinking is relying on technology, simply relying on technology, is all it takes to cascade in a downward spiral and not think about anything that is being presented right in front of you. But here's what we have to say. Health Life Recovery defines technology reliance, that it is a often necessary functional dependence on digital tools for daily tasks, while technology addiction is a compulsive, harmful, and uncontrollable need to use devices despite negative consequences. So this is what I'm trying to say. We cannot blame AI for being the reason that we look at a piece of information and have nothing to think about it, that we regurgitate it, that we say it back over and over again without thinking about it. Because if we blame AI, how are we going to fix that issue? We blame automobiles and we blame smartphones for the same reason, that it's that darn phone. But then if you take away your phone from your child studying for CXC, which is next week, by the way, you take away that phone from your child, are they just instantly going to go and study? I know I don't. What I will do is that I will go on my game, my PlayStation, for example, or maybe I'll go and play some football. And then is the problem still the AI or the technology or whatever it is? No, it's an inherent mental addiction which goes stronger than just AI. So you cannot say that relying on artificial intelligence tools is what is weakening our critical thinking and our emotional resilience. Because it isn't. It's the addiction that comes from it, and that addiction is not inherent with AI specifically. It's something that goes on throughout. Now, I want to end by saying this. I want to talk about the discernment and the intentions of AI and what it's used for. That NASA definition that I gave for AI was one of about 5 different definitions. It was the most dominant one. And the reason that I'm talking about this is because if you use AI simply to regurgitate information, simply to say what is right in front of you over and over again, then that is all you will get. And will you blame the AI for that? There are different chatbots that you could use. I would assume that the proposition is only thinking of something like ChatGPT or Gemini. If you use something like Notebook LM, you will have your own sources. So with that, I want to thank you all for allowing me to contribute today and over again to the proposition. Thank you.
Now we welcome the second speaker from the affirmative team to present further arguments. You have 5 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, audience, judges, I want to apologize to you today. That presentation really reminded me of a fantasy world prior to COVID 19. But I would like to remind my worthy opponent we are in 2026 and AI is causing over reliance. Students are becoming less critical thinkers and are becoming less emotional resilient. Let me restate the motion. This House believes that reliance on artificial intelligence tools is weakening, you hear that? Weakening young people's critical thinking and emotional resilience. Now, my colleague mentioned AI is not causing no harm. Perhaps his ChatGPT speech didn't give him this. This problem is already visible according to the 2024 Digital Education Council Global Artificial Intelligence Student Survey. 86%, you hear that? 86% of students worldwide now use artificial intelligence in their academic work. Furthermore, in 2024, the case of 14-year-old Sewell Cesar III from Florida struck many people. Sewell reported develop an emotional dependence on an AI chatbot on the platform Character AI. According to reports, he withdrew from friends and family, spent increasing amounts of time with the chatbot, and became emotionally attached to the response that it gave. His mother later filed a lawsuit claiming that this dependency contributed to his mental health crisis. My friends on the other side are sweet talking us about a tech enhanced future, but let's call it what it is. They aren't describing a supper generation, rather one that's becoming mentally soft. They claim AI is just a tool. But since when does a cutlass does the weeding by itself? By letting bots summarize our books and fix our thoughts. We aren't leveling up, but we're letting our brains go to the gutter. While global statistics show AI usage among students has jumped to 86%, the University of the West Indies has raised alarms. If the opposition is so sure that AI is making us brighter, I should just put down the phone and come and deliver a parlor speech to us this afternoon. The opposition loves to talk about global connection, but they're ignoring how emotional brittle we have become. Real life is like Friday afternoon Port of Spain. It's loud, it's busy, and it's full of enjoyment. That's how we grow. The Caribbean Alliance of National Psychological Association, CANPA, has highlighted that this digital buffering is weakening our youth's ability to handle real world stress. We are losing our social calluses. To the team across the floor, you spend so much time prompting that you have forgotten how. You aren't harnessing artificial intelligence. You are being babysat by it. It is ironic. You stand here defending about your intellect. But I bet my last double, I bet my last doubles that half your opening statement came straight from a server. While regional expert at the CARICOM Digital Skills Task Force warned that digital literacy may include the ability to function. You want us to lean further into the screen? I said none of that. But there is still hope, and it does not require a password. Our Caribbean identity wasn't built on algorithm. It was built on raw, unscripted brilliance of the human spirit. The kind that turns an oil drum into a steel pan, that turns a struggle into a storm. We know about calypso, soca. We are a people of resilience and rhythm that no AI chatbot could stimulate. So let's stop being users and start being creators again. True progress isn't found in a chatbot reply. It is found in the unity of our voices and the strength of a mind that knows how to struggle and still succeed. This is the future our youths deserve. One where they are masters of the machines and not a shadow. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we welcome the second speaker from the opposing team to present further arguments.
Good evening, esteemed colleagues, specially invited guests, and everyone present today. I am Samisha Maharaj, and I would have served in the National Youth Parliament 2025, where I was awarded with the United Nations Most Distinguished Youth Parliamentarian Award. This motion assumes that young people are passive victims of technology, that once AI is introduced, thinking declines and resilience disappears. But that assumption is fundamentally flawed. I stand here today to explain that reliance on AI tools is not weakening the young minds and young people's critical thinking and emotional resilience. As my colleague explained, relying on AI tools is not inherently negative. However, we acknowledge that over reliance can be harmful to the development of young people. Reliance is the act of trusting or depending on something in a normal state. Over reliance is excessive dependence, where our trust becomes detrimental, according to the Merriam Webster Dictionary. However, we acknowledge that this distinction between the two is critical. In the same way that students use calculators to support but not replace their understanding of mathematics, AI should be seen as a tool that enhances learning and not one that substitutes thinking. It can help students to broaden their capacity to understand complex topics more effectively. The line between reliance and over reliance is not fixed, but it is defined by education. When students are properly guided on how to use AI critically and responsibly, it becomes a powerful instrument for intellectual growth rather than dependency. The real danger is not in the tool, but the failure to teach young people how to use it wisely. AI is a cognitive amplifier, not a replacement, and education systems are already adapting to ensure that AI is used responsibly and intelligently. Here, right here in Trinidad and Tobago, initiatives such as The CBIC Women in AI programs and the Tech for Girls are empowering women, young women, with the skills to understand and apply AI effectively. This shows that society is not allowing blind dependence. Instead, we are actively teaching students how to use AI critically, ethically, and creatively. The OECD 2023 states that students who use digital tools critically outperform peers on collaborative assessments. The curriculum doesn't just teach students how to use it, it follows a spiral methodology aligned with the UNESCO AI competency framework. AI is already embedded across all major sectors of society, and it strengthens, not weakens, human capability. In the banking sector, AI detects frauds and manages risk in real time. In healthcare, it assists doctors in diagnosing diseases through advanced imaging technologies like MRI, even right here in Medical Associates Hospital in Trinidad and Tobago. Professionals are not becoming less intelligent because of AI. They're becoming more efficient, more precise, and more informed. If AI strengthens decision making in high stake factors like finance and healthcare, why would it suddenly weaken young minds in education, which is the foundation of critical thinking? Before AI, learning was limited by access to teachers and textbooks. Today, a student can receive explanations tailored to their level of understanding, creating more independent learners. Students are not waiting to be taught, but actively seeking to understand. You cannot critically think about what you do not know. Furthermore, AI supports the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, SDG 4, quality education by making learning more accessible and personalized. It drives SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure by accelerating technological progress and problem solving. It strengthens the Partnership for Goals, SDG 17, by connecting people, ideas, and solutions across borders. In conclusion, young people engaging with AI are not falling behind. They're adapting to the systems shaping the future of global development. AI is not weakening minds, it is expanding them. It is not destroying resilience, rather, it is supporting it. The future does not belong to those who reject innovation, but to those who learn how to use it wisely. Thank you.
Now we'll have a 10-minute break to allow teams to prepare their rebuttals. Yes. everyone. So now we welcome the speaker from the affirmative team to deliver the rebuttal and conclusion. Each team has 8 minutes.
A pleasant good afternoon to everyone, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen. As my colleague rightfully said, there is hope. Yet, if the first opposition speaker can come here and confess to over-reliance on AI tools, let this be a call to action. I want to propose the question of they became self-aware, but what about others that are stuck in a cycle and they did not even realize that? What about people younger than the speaker himself? What happens? Additionally, they came and they redefined the moot to suit their needs, might I add, because they know that there is no argument that justifies the lackadaisical approach towards our youth and their concerns. The opposition stated the benefits of AI and its integration in technology, but what about the dangers? What sense does it make to even quote a number of how many young people there are if we are not going to show concern for them? If we are not going to be mindful of the things that we're going to implement for the future, to plan ahead for their future? This is not a blame game. We are not blaming AI. This is chess, not checkers. So check the board. Right now, if we don't intervene, our nation would have 0 and critical thinking minus 100. A calculator was mentioned. But if a child cannot do 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1 is 3 quick maths, hello, then what is going to happen for our economy and even when it comes to the political sphere? No, we are in jeopardy and we are simply waving the flag to make everybody aware. The affirmative side has stood before you today and built a case of evidence with science and regional research. And most importantly, truth. The opposition has had every opportunity to dismantle it. So let me be precise with what exactly they dismantled. They did not refute the University of Pennsylvania's claim showing that students perform worse independently after AI reliance. They did not explain why the 86% of students that are currently using AI. They did not even answer the question of neuroscience. They did not answer Sewell Setzer, a real young person, not a statistic, whose emotional life was replaced by an algorithm. And they did not respond to what the UEAI Innovation Council, CANPA, and the CARICOM Digital Skills Task Force have all warned, that this region is losing the very capacity for independent thought that it was built upon. So let's sit with the reality. The opposition has told us that AI is only bad if there's over-reliance. And I want to make sure this room understands our understanding of AI is more than just Google. Because Google was a search engine that helped us find information, yet you still had to, as the first speaker said, still had to read, still had to verify, still had to evaluate. Now, with AI tools, all you have to do is ask. You ask and you will receive. It's like a genie in a bottle. At first, it grants a wish instantly, no effort, no struggle. But the more you rely on it, the less you remember how to wish for yourself. And when the genie is gone, you know what you're left with? A mind that forgot how to think on its own. There's no need for research when you can just say, "Chat, help." As the speaker for the affirmative put it plainly, since when does a cutlass do the weeding by itself? A tool you build is for control. A tool that replaces your thinking builds nothing. The opposition has spent this entire debate confusing assistance with dependence. They are not the same thing, and the evidence proves so. Here's what the research actually says. Students who rely on AI heavily perform significantly worse without it, especially when asked to work independently. The grade may be earned, but the learning is not. How can we sit idly by and watch our bright future grow dim? I don't have to work in tea and tech to put 2 and 2 together. We must remember what is at stake for our region. As was stated by the second speaker, the CARICOM Digital Skills Task Force, it did not say teach young people to use AI more fluently. It said digital literacy must include the ability to function without the machine. Is that currently happening? And it's a rhetorical question, let us sit and marinate, because I'm simply addressing the elephant in the room. We cannot be ignorant when building our digital future, knowing the danger, which I find commendable that the opposition has not even mentioned. The first speaker took us inside the brain, the amygdala. It pushes us away from discomfort. The prefrontal cortex allows us to push through it. Critical thinking is built that exact moment of override. Awesome, right? Yet, AI eliminates that moment before it can even do the work. It hands young people an answer before their minds have even earned it. The second speaker, it showed us the human cost. Forget the quantitative data. This is a 14-year-old we made mention of, withdrawing from his family, replacing human connection with a chatbot, losing every emotional struggle that would have built him stronger. This is not a warning about the future. This has already happened. And additionally, they brought us home to this region, pertaining to our Caribbean identity and how it was not built on algorithms. It was built on the raw, I'm quoting now, it was built on the raw, unscripted brilliance of the human spirit, the mind that turned an oil drum into a steel pan, the voice that turned struggle into a song. And that is not something AI can generate. That is something only a mind that has struggled and persevered, grown, and persisted can produce. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not here to tell you that AI has no place in our future, in our world, in our nation, in our schools, even in our homes. We are here to tell you that we must not take the place of the world inside a young person's mind. So please understand that there is no prompt for grief. There's no prompt for pressure. There's no prompt for failure. Real life does not come with a regenerate response button. And a generation conditioned to expect one will not be ready when life demands the one thing no machine can give. The strength that only comes from having struggled and survived. AI tools, if not implemented correctly, efficiently, it gives young people lucidity. And that is not education. That is not resilience. That is the illusion of both. We are pro-mind. We are pro-growth. We are pro-struggle. And the affirmative team has proven with neuroscience, with data, with real lives, and with the truth of who we are as a people, that reliance on AI tools is weakening young people's critical thinking and emotional resilience. We urge you to take this into consideration. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Now we welcome the opposing team to present your rebuttal and conclusion. You have 8 minutes.
Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, judges, my colleagues, my opponents. To close off this debate, today I would like to address firstly the points that were made by Speaker 1, 2, and 3 respectively. They have come to us with statistics, sources, testimonies of bold grandeur, yet until the third speaker, I will give her flowers, they brought with them not a single cited source to show that AI causes harm as itself. They come with us with fear. They come to us with possibilities, with what ifs. I do not come to you with that. I come to you with facts. I come to you with sources. I come to you today to show that AI alone, implemented correctly, does not weaken critical thinking, does not weaken emotional resilience, and is a technology for the better of society. Firstly, the speaker started off in quoting a study in 2011. 2011, boy? Well, I would like to state that though I have checked it out, memory, recall, and critical thinking are not the same thing as many might be able to mistake. We do not judge a pilot's ability to gauge or measure fuel by hand. We judge their ability to fly correctly. We do not judge a person's ability to memorize every single intricate detail of their job. We judge the ability they have to do it. The ability that they have is supposed to guide the tool, not reverse. And the problem that the entirety of the affirmative side stands on is on a misuse of AI.
But that is not what we are here today to talk about. We are here to talk about AI in terms of reliance, assistance as a tool. They have came up here today and talked about how a cutlass will not cut the weeds by itself. As a tool, AI will do nothing by itself. As a tool, the cutlass will do nothing by itself. I wish I could tell this pen to write my point for me, truly. But unless it has human input, human thinking, like AI is based off of, it will do nothing. Now, on to the second speaker. Hit close to home. It hit to my heart to hear about the creation and evolution of the steel drum. I commend you for that. But I understand the patriotism runs deep. Every creed and race find an equal place. But I hope I can find today where you had any points about emotion. Because genuinely, the main thing that you talked about was the nationalistic implementation of how we are not a people of algorithms, but we are people of evolution. If you had continued your point with the steel pan, you'd understand that we went from the African drum to the tambour bamboo to the biscuit tin, tenor, double seconds. You do not see that AI itself is testament to human evolution. And the more you restrict a person from utilizing AI, the less they will be able to adapt to the society that AI is in, today's society. Let me bounce back to speaker one, talking about AI is replacing our critical thinking for convenience. Yet, the entirety of the affirmative failed to understand that AI does not simply ask you to prompt and give you the answer. A search engine does. You take your time to still take the information, analyze it, and do with it what you deem necessary. If the affirmative wants to take the answer and take it verbatim, that is you. But I have faith in my youth. Next, talking about AI in schools, the academic decline that the third speaker mentioned is more of a problem on the school system and the education system rather than the technology itself. Students are not allowed to use AI to so easily do their work for them, make them be lazy. Why is that? Teachers use AI to adjust and grade academic ability, to grade papers, and to lighten their workload. Why can't students do this, you may ask? Because it is a problem of the misuse, but it's a problem of the lack of education. There are AIs that you can use to properly tutor and learn for yourself. My great colleague mentioned Notebook LM that can only provide you with sources that you have given it. It is free from bias because you are the source. It is free from misinformation because you are the source, and it is free. Also, there is an AI tutor known as Kamingo, made by Khan's Academy, that does not outright give you the answer. Oh, damn, 3 minutes. Does not outright give you the answer, but uses a Socratic method to guide you, to teach you to learn. If you choose the proper AI tools, you will not fall into the negative effects or the negative outcomes that the affirmative is bringing to you today, because their entire foundation of their arguments is based on fear. It's based on misuse, over-dependence, over-reliance, yet the motion does not say that. In conclusion, the motion is built on fear rather than fact, I can say. AI is not diminishing the capacity of young people, it's transforming it. The issue is not reliance. The issue is misuse. And that's a matter of education, not limitation. The limitation, the opposition, not us, them, the opposition wishes to keep you under. Rather than looking inward on the real problem, the systematic problem, it is easier to throw blame at the closest thing. Young people today are not passive victims of technology. They are active participants in shaping how we use it. When guided correctly, AI strengthens critical thinking, enhancing problem solving and building resilience in increasingly a complete world. And there are platforms such as this. The Student Digital Literacy and Digital Ethics Program implemented in 2023 does this in Trinidad and Tobago's government. I believe it was also mentioned in last year's youth parliament. Today's youth are really shaping up to be something. To reject AI on the basis of potential over-reliance, on the possibility of over-reliance, of the what if, is to ignore its proven ability to expand access to knowledge and opportunity. The responsibility lies not in restricting the tool, but in equipping young people with the skills to use it wisely. I close with this statement. The future lies in the hands of the one able to adapt. Therefore, I firmly stand with this motion. I firmly stand with our people and the youth's ability to properly show that AI is not a tool and technology for fear, but for evolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will allow a few minutes for the judges to deliberate. I just want to remind you of the prizes besides bragging rights. Each team would actually receive book vouchers from the paper-based bookshop valued at $500 and $300 each. Paper-based bookshop is located at the Writers Center in Alcazar Street, St. Clair, and you can also visit them at their station in the library. If you want as well, maybe they could also, because we're giving you digital gift vouchers. So if you'd like to purchase something now or redeem your vouchers now, you can do that as well. Yeah. So in a few minutes, we'll have the drum roll moment. Okay, guys. So the judges have made their decision. Mike, not on. The judges have made their decision. So I would like to welcome Mr. Kevin Swift to make the announcement. Well done, teams. Congratulations. We always love working with you. So we know whichever way it goes, you'll be happy for each other.
Good afternoon, everyone. The judges' deliberation was quite exciting because we came here and we heard a wonderful debate. There were a lot of strong points made, and we had a criteria to base this afternoon's debate. The criteria looked at preparation, they looked at evidence, they looked at analysis, and they looked at presentation. I think before we even make the announcement, kudos to all involved, the young debaters. So let's. And without further ado, with a total of 169 points, we have Team A. Affirmative. And with a total of 183 points, this afternoon's winner, Team B. Congratulations. So, and now you have the handing out of the prizes.